What's up, everybody? I'm Michael Allen, and this is the Movie Minute. This episode of the Movie Minute, we are looking at A24 new comedy, Friendship, directed by Andrew DeYoung and starring Paul Rudd, Tim Robinson, and Kate Mara. So, if you're looking for a non-spoiler review from a filmmaker perspective, let's jump on in. So when I first heard about Friendship, I already knew we were in for an uncomfortable experience. It definitely had that, office vibe, the awkward situations.
Hey, Mr. Scott, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Make our dreams come true. Hey, Mr. Scott, what you gonna do?
The state of comedy in Hollywood is very interesting right now. There's just not a lot of good, innovative comedies coming out. We kind of have a formula and we follow it, but even then, they're few and far between in how many comedies are coming out now, as opposed to 10 years ago. It's always nice when something new and innovative comes down the pipe, and this was every bit of new and interesting. Tim Robinson has a bit of a shtick, right?
Gotta figure out how to make money on this. I really want to.
He's most famously from a show, I Think You Should Leave, which is kind of this show about vignettes, and he has a very unique style to him, and he absolutely brings that style into this movie. Friendship follows the typical suburban family led by a suburban dad played by Tim Robinson. It's very boring, very normal, just suburbs life when a very high energy, interesting person in Paul Rudd moves into the neighborhood with his wife, and Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd start to develop this awkward yet budding friendship. And that is the gist of the movie. Let's just get this out of the way with this film. It's a comedy. Was it funny? Yes, this film was extremely funny. I laughed a lot in this film, and there was a lot of different type of laughter, but I will say it's very unconventional comedy, but so random and so funny, and it definitely has that Office feel.
It's like when I promised those kids I'd pay for college. Okay. All right.
I laughed so many times, and there's some amazing one-liners in this film. The dialogue is very sharp, very funny, and well-placed. And as well, it's just well delivered. The performances in this film are so good. Paul Rudd plays this character fairly well. I feel like he's been this character often, but there's a little bit of a twist on it, and I love the twist, which I won't spoil for you. But just how Tim and Paul kind of interact together on screen, it just has a hilarious chemistry to it. Building on those performances, the characters themselves are just interesting, and that makes a huge difference in a film like this. They're weird, they're interesting, you want to know more about them, even though maybe you don't find out a ton about each of these characters, but having interesting characters is super important, and this comedy does that well. Now, does that translate into story? So the glaring problem with this film is that the story is just odd. It's not very strong, it's fairly thin. They don't give you a lot. It really feels a lot like the show I Think You Should Leave. It feels like there's a lot of these kind of individual moments that are happening in the movie, but the connective tissue of how they move through those moments isn't very strong. I mean, the overall narrative is a bit jumbled. I think the vision of what cohesive story are we telling was not on their priority list. I think their priority was, how many interesting, hilarious moments can we fit into this film with Paul and Tim, and just film as many of those as possible, and then maybe connect it together when we get to post-production. That's how it felt. The film is fairly long for a comedy, or it felt long, which is never good for a comedy, for it to feel long, but there's definitely some moments where the film drags, and it's because those story moments aren't really connecting well, and they don't really drive the themes home. There's some really good themes in this film that they present, themes about narcissism, themes about mental health, things about friendship and how we navigate masculinity in form of friendships in this day and age. All great things, but they don't capitalize on those themes. They kind of miss it because the story feels a bit thin. So from an entertainment standpoint, I laughed a lot in this film. I was entertained. I was kind of like leaning in, being like, what's going to happen next throughout the film? And that's a great comedy. And so I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10 for entertainment. I liked it more than I thought I would, and I laughed harder in this movie than I have in quite a long time for a comedy, and I appreciated that. From a critic's rating, I think this film is hard to judge because the story really being thin and the story being long and the movie being drawn out a bit really affected how I experienced the film. And so I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10 for critics rating. It's good. I mean, it has good moments, good performances, like I said, but it just falls short. And so averaged out 7.5 out of 10 for Friendship. And we need more films like this. I will say that. I mean, we need more comedies that are being innovative, that are doing interesting things, and this was that, and I appreciated it. So from a badge standpoint, this one's really easy. This is definitely a couch potato. I think that this is a film you can watch on streaming. You don't have to go to the theater to see this. Now, if you're a major Tim Robinson fan, you're gonna probably go see this movie, or Paul Rudd, and that's okay. Those people absolutely can go see this movie, but I just think that it's fairly niche for what it's trying to do. At the end of the day, Friendship is funnier than I thought it was going to be, and a great outing from Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd. They really show some great chemistry on screen together, and it's just another notch in A24's book of they know what they're doing in terms of the movies that they choose to distribute and make, and they are just knocking it out of the park. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Would love to have you on this movie journey with me. Drop down in the comments and let me know what your favorite comedy from the past 5 years is. And until next time, everybody, peace out.